Good afternoon, everyone. I do hope you are having a good day. I'm I'm about to step out for a walk, but I just thought I'd touch base with you all first before I step out. Um, I would like to talk to you today about Character 101. That's the overall topic, and the subtopic is heart check, humility. So we're talking about humility today. So heart check, humility. So the definition of character, just to go over it again, is the complex of mental and ethical traits marking and often individualizing a person, group, or nation. And one of the definitions that I found of humility is the quality or condition of being humble. So having a modest opinion or estimate of one's own importance. Just starting off with a story. Not too long ago, one of my sisters, she'd prepared for her A levels, and she sat her exams. Um, when the results came out, she was quiet. She didn't really say anything. I was thinking, what's going on? But I didn't want to pry, so I just sort of just played it cool. But I later found out that she had mostly A's in her results, but she really just downplayed it. And like we later had a conversation, and I think she was preparing for A stars, but she had A's, which was really good. I thought she was really humble about it. But she just took it like normal life. Most kids her age would have been like blowing their own trumpets and letting everyone know on social media and all of that, but she didn't do any of that. She just carried on with her life, and I thought that was really humble. Um, so just going on to like what the topic is about. So my personal definition about humility is a state of the heart. So I would define humility as what a person thinks of who they are and what they have in relation to other people. Yeah. So a humble person knows what their strengths are, they know what their weaknesses are, but they don't allow it place them above other people or even below other people, because sometimes people might think, oh, I'm being humble, so I will make myself lower than other people. That's not what a humble person does. They know who they are, they know what they can do well, they know what their strengths are, they know what their weaknesses are, but they don't allow those things to define them or place them as superior or inferior to other people. Yeah, a humble person does not adopt a superior attitude or better than you attitude. A humble person knows how to mix comfortably with people of various backgrounds. So examples from different spectrums is Lady Diana, who was a princess initially, and she was able to mix with people of different backgrounds. And then Mother Teresa, who was a nun, and she also was able to mix with people from different backgrounds. So these are people who had different exposures to life, but regardless of what their exposures were, they didn't allow it to separate them from people. They were able to just mix with people who had different backgrounds from what they had personally. And so that's, to me, that's the core trait of a humble person. It's a condition of the heart. They might have loads of possessions, but their possessions don't define them as people. They don't look at those possessions and think, I'm better than you because I have all of this, or I'm so intelligent, so I'm better than you. They don't think like that. So humility is really a condition of the heart. So moving on to some fallacies about humility. It's important to note, and this is probably public knowledge, that the opposite of humility is arrogance or pride. Yeah, and it's not a very attractive quality. When you interact with an arrogant person, it's actually quite ugly and quite distasteful. But it's something that is seen in so many different ways and in people around the world. So you just want to make sure you're not one of them, because the only person that you have the power to change is yourself. So there's no use pointing fingers and saying that person is proud. The question is, are you humble, or am I humble? That's the question that we should all be considering for ourselves. So, fallacies about humility. There's the rich poor divide. So some people think that rich people are automatically arrogant and that poor people are automatically humble. I heard someone say that money simply amplifies who a person is. So if you're predisposed to being mean spirited, when you get a lot of money, you're simply going to do that. You're just going to be a miser. You're going to hold on tightly to things and not treat people kindly. Um, if you're if you're if you have a tendency to being generous, when you have money, you'll be generous still. Even with little money, you still share what you have. So money simply amplifies who a person is. It doesn't make or break a person, because money simply is just currency. It simply amplifies or exposes who a person is. Another fallacy about humility is motives. So I've just termed it like an overarching sort of category of motives. So some people think that the possession of extremely expensive items makes you proud. So um, some people might look at a person who has a private jet and think they're so proud. Why do they need that? Excuse me. Excuse me. Some people might look at a person with a private jet and think they're so proud. Why do they need that private jet, or why do they have a yacht? Um, but what you own doesn't define you. It's actually what you think about what you own, or why, the motive behind why you've purchased what you own. So if you purchase a yacht or a private jet, to incite jealousy in other people, to show off and make people look at you and see what a big shot you are, then that's an indication of pride. But if you purchase such expensive items because you could afford it and it adds happiness to your life, then there is no pride involved in that. So what you own, your possessions, the presence or absence of possessions is not what makes you a proud or humble person. It's a condition of your heart. Um, Third fallacy that I identified is eternal pride or humility. So there's a fallacy that once you're proud, you'll always be proud, or once you're humble, you'll always be humble. That's not true. You can start off as a proud person, and then somewhere down the line, maybe you see the effects that your pride has on somebody or in your life. You decide to change, and you can become humble. Conversely, you can also start off as a humble person, and maybe you become exposed to a lot of things and a lot of possessions, and it goes to your head, and then you become proud. So it is possible to switch sides. An ancient story speaks of two kings. So there was a man called King Saul. He started off humble, but then he became proud. As a result, he lost his throne to someone else called King David. King David started off humble, but then, like King Saul, he also became proud. But he was able to, so someone pointed out to him the error of his ways, and he changed and he went back to being humble. So it is possible to fluctuate, and we're human, and our hearts will change depending on what circumstances we're facing. But as the topic indicates, if you can be conscious and conduct heart checks on yourself, and observe the impact you're having on people, then you're more likely to keep an eye on things. So you're more likely to identify when pride comes into your heart, so you can eliminate it, or when you feel like you need to work more on being humble. So it takes practice, and it takes observation, self-observation. Yeah. We'll just move on to how can you develop humility. I just have a few tips on that. So first is service. In order to develop humility, it is important to develop an attitude that seeks to serve rather than to be served. We're all on this earth to serve in one way or the other. So if we develop that attitude of service, it helps us to be humble, because when you enter into a situation and you're first approaching the first thought in your mind is, how can I serve? It just already positions your mind and puts your heart in the right posture, and it's a posture of humility. If somebody offers to serve you, and you decline, it's quite tricky, because if someone offers to serve you and you decline because you want to show that you are being humble, in comes pride. So it's very subtle. You can, one minute you can be humble, and the next minute you can slip into pride. So the in such situations, if someone offers to serve you, the right thing to do is to graciously accept. It's an act of humility. It's an act of humility to be able to accept service as well. So we're here to serve each other, because if you rob the other person of serving you, then you're not helping them. So just like you're trying to help other people by serving them, if someone offers to serve you, graciously accept. But the key is not to expect that service like from people around you. Linked to that is entitlement. So reject entitlement. In order to develop humility, it's important that you reject entitlement. Entitled people are people who think that the world owes them something. They think their parents owe them something. They think their friends owe them something. So they think their employers owe them something. They think the government owes them something. So it's entitlement, and I'm sure in one way or the other, we've all experienced entitlement in some form. It's very subtle, just like pride. So when you feel like someone should call you back, or someone should answer your phone calls, or someone should help you, no one owes you anything. Like, and that's a key thing to note. No one owes you anything. If anyone helps you, or if anyone does anything for you, it's a gift that you graciously accept. So learn to reject entitlement. So when entitlement creeps into your heart, conduct a regular heart check and observe it as it comes in. When you feel like that person should have done this, so it's usually should have, you should have. When you find yourself thinking you should have done this, you should have done, then you're slipping into entitlement. So reject entitlement in order to develop humility. And the last is separate your achievements from your personhood. So your achievements, if you have a massive stately home, if you own billions of pounds, if you've received various awards, these are amazing achievements, but they don't define you as a person. So learn to separate your achievements from the person that you are, and this helps you to see more clearly who you are, because it doesn't matter what you have, or what you've achieved, if you cannot treat people right, because people are the only entity in the world that are eternal. If you cannot treat people right, then it doesn't, your achievements really mean nothing. It means absolutely nothing. So if and also if you fail to treat people right, you also live in less you live in a life that is less than you are, that you live in less than your privileges. That's what I'm trying to say here. So humility is what helps you live your best life, because by serving others you bring more joy to yourself. Because when you serve others, you bring joy to them, and in bringing joy to them, you bring joy to yourself. So it's important when pursuing humility, this character trait of humility, that we place people above possessions. Hashtag that, people over possessions. Okay, so please feel free to subscribe, share, and like this video. And until next time, please do stay safe. Have an awesome day. Take it easy. Bye.